What's up, amigos? This is another edition to Spotlight, a new segment that I'm trying to get going. It's basically meant to spotlight different individuals and doing different things that I think are cool, plus also anything that is ordinary or outside the mainstream. Um, so if you know anybody that has anything cool that's going on that you think you'd want to put some light on them, have them contact me. I'll interview them. These interviews are meant to be a little shorter than my normal Chingazos and Fire episodes, but it's meant to just spotlight some interesting people. So scientists, teachers, athletes, whatever, anybody that got anything going on. It could be if there's a kid that got something going on in high school that's cool. A any type of charity, anything that you think is worthwhile for me to interviews to put some spotlight on them. Have them email me at loslibertinos210 at gmail.com, and I'll get in touch with them and I'll get them going. So on this episode, Joshua Hamm reached out to me. He's someone that listens to the podcast, and we listen to some of the same podcasts on some other shows that we listen to. So, we got in touch and we did this interview. So I hope you enjoy it. And don't forget to check out his website and support him if you're down with what he's saying. And if you're not, then it's okay too. The point is just to hear ideas, and you get to figure out how you want to play it. All right. Peace and thank you. Joshua Hamm is a candidate running for the Republican nomination in Texas House District 12. He is running against an incumbent called Kyle Cackle.
Cassell.
How do you say it?
Cassell.
Cassell. Oh, okay, Cassell. So basically, the district leans Republican. So in essence, if he's able to win the primary, he most likely will win the district. Welcome, Joshua.
Hey man, I'm glad to be able to get to talk to you. And it's not
Us.
just leans Republican, like 65, 35 Republican, like heavy Republican.
Yeah, man. So just so anybody that doesn't know, what is the area? Like, what is I did see the map, and it looks like it has the normal cutting out around College Station and the cutting around Waco, and then it kind of expands rural. It looks like a little bit, right? Something like that.
Yeah, it's a very rural, and so the map you looked at, if you didn't look at the one that was on my website, that's the old map. The
Oh,
new
okay,
map,
my
the new
bad.
map is still very rural. It has Bryan College Station cut out. That's its own district. And then so it's the rural part of Brazos Valley, and then all of Robertson County, Madison County, Walker County, Grimes County, and Washington County.
What are the big cities that are in? It's in like that. It's by or something like that. So College Station is one. The Waco
Uh,
would.
no, it doesn't go all the way up to Waco anymore.
Oh, okay, 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 okay,
That's what
okay.
I'm saying. It changed drastically. Instead of stretching like north to south,
Yeah.
now it goes east to west.
Oh, okay.
So it's pretty much from College Station all the way over to I-45.
Okay, fair enough. So anybody
So
that
Madisonville and Huntsville are the big cities that are in my district now.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anybody that's interested, we'll drop the website now and then drop it at the end, but it would be joshuaham.com. So be sure to go there to check out if you like any of the content we're going to talk about. Check it out, and then we'll still drop the website at the end. So yeah, man, Joshua, what was the motivation for running? I mean, to put yourself in the game like this, that also means you put yourself out there, you put your family out there, and that for sure, if you start getting some inroads, you're going to get some heat on you. But so what was the motivation? How did that whole process work out for you?
Well, so yeah, yes, my wife's not exactly the most pleased by it, but she's supporting me, and that's what matters. Uh, I started just being a regular dude, right? And then I started to get upset by things and becoming more active. And in 2019 and 2020, I went to like the Stop the Steal rallies. I went to the ones that were in DC, and I went in November, and then I went on January 6th. So I was actually there in DC on January 6th, and I saw reality versus what got talked about. And I was like, this is nothing like what actually happened, you know? And and so after that, I got more involved. I started going up to the Capitol in Austin, and I pushed for constitutional carry. And I was really surprised because we all know that Texans love our guns. And yet, for some reason, when I went up there for a constitutional rally put on by Gun Owners of America, there were only like 4 Republicans that came out to speak in favor of it. And it's like, this is a big deal. Everybody in Texas loves guns, at least Republicans do, and Republicans control all of Austin. So why don't we have like 100 representatives and senators out here spitting that hot liberty fire, saying you can get guns, right? And then after that, I went to the mass mandate rally outside the governor's mansion because I was like, this is complete BS. So like I've been protesting masks since what, June of last year or something, 2 years ago. Geez, June of 2020 when we had the rally. And then I took my son up to the Capitol for the heartbeat bill because murder is wrong. Let's call it what it is. And then as I became more involved, I began to realize more how my representative was voting. And the straw that broke the camel's back, where I said, screw it, I'm just going to run, is when I found out that he voted against the bathroom bill to protect my 13-year-old daughter. And I was like, all right, you're done. I don't care anymore. I had joined local Tea Party. I had joined local conservative groups. I was trying to be active and to do things. And in talking to them, they were all like, we really need somebody to run against him. I was like, well, I'll do it. I got nothing going on. I mean, I'm retired, and this guy sucks. And they're like, you go for it. We need anybody to step up. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And so that's how it began.
So that's how that this run began. But you listed several of issues within why you were running. Kind of also give a background of where like you grew up and all that, and how you grew into those type of issues. It depends for sure how you grew up, where you grew up, and all that. Can you kind of give some of that too, so that way the listener knows kind of how you got into like
Sure.
internalizing those issues? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I was raised conservative, but like not really. Like I had a mother and father at home. My dad worked. I was homeschooled, so I was like 13 because the school system sucked. Hearn has like failed 2 times and been threatened to get taken over by the state. And you know how bad schools suck and how much worse they have to be for the or for the state to say they're going to shut down the school district, right? So, I had home training is what it came down to. And we were lower middle class. So we didn't get any help from the government on anything, but we also didn't have money to sit there and I always like to say, like, I wasn't poor when I was growing up. My parents were, and they just kind of drugged me along for the ride. And so you just learn that there's no help. If you're a male, white, Protestant, or religious guy, there's nobody that's going to help you. Nobody gives a crap, right? And so you just got to figure it out and work it out. And then, of course, my senior year was 9/11. And I was looking at where I was and what I was doing. And quite frankly, I was kind of a shitbag. I was involved in illicit activities, and I was doing dumb stuff, and I wasn't getting caught. It wasn't big stuff, but when you start walking down that path of doing dumb shit, how it just kind of keeps growing. And I was like, man, like my life sucks, and I'm not. My parents aren't going to be proud of me. Like I'm not the person I want to be. And I looked at my father and I looked at my grandfather, who were both honorable men, and they had both served in the military. And 9/11 had also, like I said, just happened a couple months previous. So I joined the Army. I was like, let me try to become a better person. Joined the Army. I went overseas to Korea. I went to Iraq. I got wounded in Afghanistan. And, after 8 years, I was done with it. The thing that put me over the edge was I was in Iraq in 2009, and I was the rear gunner, which meant that I was in the last vehicle, and I was the one that was pointing in the rear. And this vehicle came swerving out from this house and coming at us super fast. And I realized I didn't have enough time to sit there and go through all the quote unquote protocols that they tell you have to do, like shout, show, shove, shoot, shoot. You don't have time for all that stuff. You just have time to make a decision and go with it. And if I was wrong and there wasn't any bomb on that vehicle and I opened a fire, or excuse me, if I was right and there was a bomb on that vehicle and I didn't open fire, then me and my boys were going to die. But if I was wrong and there wasn't a bomb on the vehicle, then the people who were over me would not hesitate to send me to prison to try to make themselves feel better or to score some bullet points so they could get a promotion. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, I can't stay in. There's no way I can deal with the danger and the microsecond decisions you have to make in war while I'm getting armchair quarterback from people in the rear with the gear who have no clue what's actually going on. You know what I'm saying? Uh, and then from there, I just the biggest thing for me was, how is it that my kids are less free today than I was when I joined the Army? Like I joined the Army to fight for America and for freedom and for liberty, and my kids are less free today. How? That didn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? And I'm in Texas, and I realize we're way more free in Texas than my kids would be almost anywhere else in the United States or even the world. And yet, 18 years of Republicans controlling the House, the Senate, the governor's mansion, the Supreme Courts, all the courts, and this is the best. This is the most free my kids can be, where they control like what meat and eggs and milk I can get my kids, whether or not my kids can have a part-time job to try to get some spending money so they can sit there and do the stuff they want to do with their homies. Like, that makes sense. It's ridiculous. And so I just started, and of course I studied business. I studied money. And I realized, like, the biggest problem we have with people, the biggest expense that people have, why they can't have a business, why they can't get ahead and everything else, is because the government's been handcuffing us for forever. Like, how are you going to get ahead when every time you make a dollar, the government's taking 40 cents out of it? That's hard. And so if you can't get ahead and you can't provide for your family, then what are your options? And why would the government sit there and set people up for failure? It's wrong. It's completely wrong, and it goes against the basic principles of what government should be. If government is to exist, it must be there to protect the weakest among us. And so, when I was working in the oil field, and almost everybody that I worked with was felons. Why? Because that's the only job they could get. And it's like, why aren't we setting people, if you just did 10 in the clink, why aren't we setting you up for success? So when you get out, you can put food on the table for your kids. Like, it's hard enough to be gone. It's hard enough to sit there and try to be a decent person. But then you're going to have, money taken from your paycheck. You're going to have all this removed. and then they're going to tell you you can't cut hair, you can't sit there and open a business. That doesn't make any sense. And that's where I came at it from, was why can't we just let people be people and do what they want to do as long as they're not hurting other people?
Perfect. So the incumbent Kyle, what's the scoop on this guy? I did read that I guess he's like one of the like on a Texas scorecard. He's one of the lower on the like conservative side. He sides many times with the Democrats and all that.
Yeah.
How does he uh keep winning? What also is like, what is his like special interest groups that he placates to? Would
Mhm.
you have to placate to the same, but you would just kind of give the
Yeah.
scoop on this guy, like what's up with this?
Well, okay, so he's a rancher, and he also like does deer leasing out of his ranch, right? So he's really big on the Second Amendment, which makes sense when your business is based on the Second Amendment. And he's really big on quote unquote rural issues, but I would say he's not. And so a lot of his ideas are wrapped up in the idea of government subsidies for farmers and ranchers, and because that's where he feels like his bread gets buttered, right?
Okay,
And
so
again, the
I never
Second
knew that,
Amendment.
but I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. So this way, so that is rural issues. When you say rural issues, is that what you mean? Is like basically government subsidies to the rural area farmers and all that, right? Is that kind of what, when you say rural issues? Is that what you mean?
That's what he means.
Oh, that's what he.
That's not
Okay,
what I mean.
okay.
See, when I say rural issues, what I mean is we should abolish the property taxes in Texas, because we have homestead protection built into the Texas Constitution. And you can't have homestead protection if you have property taxes, because you don't own your land. If you stop paying property taxes, you'll find out real quick who actually owns your land, and it ain't you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, I know, man. I've never blocked walks for anybody, but I blocked walk for Deborah Medina back in the
Right.
day. She ran on
The
that.
the second thing that I feel like is rural issues that he's not in touch with is we really got to get much stricter about eminent domain, and about, like, right now businesses like railroads and oil companies can actually use eminent domain against citizens and take their land. How is that possible? That's ridiculous. The only reason that you should have eminent domain is if a government is using it. If a business wants your land, then they can buy it just like everybody else. And if you can't figure out how to negotiate terms with that person, that sounds like a problem for you. Doesn't mean you get to steal their land, you know?
Okay. Yeah, man. So you're distinguishing
But,
yourself on the rule
like,
issues, but to be more for the working regular folk than the insider people that have the insight into the people that can probably, I don't know how it costs and all that, but the people that can afford to take weeks off, I guess, to go to a deer, and go shooting and all, they must have some money to go do all that. And they're probably insiders and stuff like that. And maybe, not all the time, but I'm just freestyling here a little bit, but yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So that's what you're trying to distinguish yourself is that, rule doesn't mean big business. It means all the little people that get screwed up sometimes by the.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like we should sit there and deregulate. Like right now, in order to be able to buy food at a grocery store, if you want to buy meat, you've seen the price of meat going up here in Texas, right? But do you realize that the price of beef by the cow has actually been going down? Has been going down, not up. We have enough beef. We have enough cows and pigs and everything else. The problem is that the regulations we have in Texas make it so that farmers and ranchers can't sell their food. It has to go through an approved butcher who's been licensed by the state and everything else, as opposed to being like, yo, you know, the sausage house down the street. Yeah, they're totally able to butcher deer, but they're not legally allowed to butcher a cow. Why? That's ridiculous. It's stupid. Why
So
can't people just sit there and go to the carneria and be able and have them be able to butcher it and get their meat right there.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of that like as an issue, but yeah, these are the rural issues. Like these are things that you're talking about that like deregulate, but in that form, right? Like that's
Yeah, deregulate so people can get food. Make it so that just because you're in a just because you're in an HOA, you can't have chickens. Why not? That's a way to have food for your family. You get 6 or a dozen chickens, and now you got eggs for you and all your kids, no problem, every day. You got food every day, you know, and so it's the small stuff like that really actually affects rural folks. Yeah, roads matter, bridges matter, all of those things matter too, but most of that's really done at the county commissioner level. That's who really does that. And so the regulations and that burden small people, that's the problem. When you're working your first 3 or 4 months out of every year just trying to pay off the government so that you can actually work and put food on the table, that's a problem.
where would you want to block these type of regulations? So you would a lot of these regulations come out of like Texas law, like Texas code.
Yep. Yep,
Okay,
they come out of Texas code from the legislature.
okay, so yeah, yeah. So then that's what you would try to go advocate for removal or changing them up or something like that. That's what
Yeah.
you're.
And a lot of it too is like old style thinking from people who are in their 60s and 70s. Like, we need to sit there and send $5 million to a rural hospital because we need to have a rural hospital out here in a county of, you know, 20,000 people. But we need to have a hospital in that county. It's like, have you ever heard of concierge medicine? Like, why not just have a doctor's clinic out there and you can call him? There's a dog in the road. And you can call that doctor if there's a problem, or you get you can have a county clinic or whatnot, but like there's capitalism means that if there's not enough of a market to have a hospital, then that doesn't mean you start subsidizing it from the state. That's not how it works. And yeah, healthcare is important, but that doesn't mean that you steal from people to put it out there. If it's important, then stop subsidizing it, and people will find a way. And that's one of the ways that concierge medicine can really help with that.
Okay, and
Have you heard of concierge medicine?
well, in my brain when you're saying that, I'm thinking it's like the small, like we have over here, like small medical, like kind of like they're kind of based out of the big ones, and they're just small, like 24/7 ones. But no, I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
you're thinking like clinics. So one of the things that happened with Obamacare and with all these mask mandates and everything else is doctors started leaving hospitals and setting it up so that basically the doctor himself is a subscription service where it's like, hey, you pay me 150, $200 a month or whatever, just directly to me. We don't need no insurance. It's you to me. We have a contract. And if you get sick, I come out and then I'll do prescriptions or anything else. And if we need to, if you need to go see a specialist or anything else, well, that's outside. But just for your day-to-day health stuff, you just, you spend a little bit of money every month, basically having them on retainer like a lawyer.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no, now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, we have some of that here. It doesn't get as much play, but yeah, there was yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And that's how you start to break the back of the big pharma and big hospital business.
Yeah.
Start having independent contractors.
Yeah, I hear you. And right now there regulations right now that to kind of stop that, or or is it right now, or you're just saying that instead of going to like the old school mindset of like let's just because when you build a big hospital like that, I mean you are bringing dollars back to your district. So I mean it's part of even though the 60s and 70-year-old guy, I mean they know the game. So this guy Kyle knows the game. What is your strategy to win?
My strategy to win is just going around and talking to people. That's really it. When I talk to counties, when I talk to, individual patriots and Texans, then they like what I have to say. They just need to hear me, which means that I got to go around and talk to people. That's the biggest thing, because I don't have a $500,000 in a war chest like he does. I'm a diesel mechanic and a truck driver. I ain't got that kind of money. But what I can do is I can come around and I can come talk to you and go, you know, quite frankly, he's been here for 5 terms. That's 10 years. Is your life better off now than it was before? And if the answer is no, maybe you need better people. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, change it up. So once you win and you're in there, I did let's go down the list that you have on your website, joshuaham.com, on your issues, and you can kind of give a rundown of them. But the first one is protect the border. What's your stance on that?
My stance is Texas doesn't have to ask for permission or forgiveness to protect Texans. Period. We just build the wall. We institute e-verify. We make businesses financially accountable if they break the law, and make it hurt. Make it hurt. So they want to actually sit there and follow the law. You start removing benefits from illegal immigrants so that poor people and veterans in Texas actually have first dibs on money as opposed to illegal immigrants. You do those 3 things and you'll resolve almost all of the immigration problem, because you remove the economic incentives that people have to break it.
Okay.
You don't have to go around and round people up if they can't get jobs and they aren't getting benefits from the government. What are they going to do?
Okay. Second Amendment is the next one.
Mhm.
Second Amendment is the next one.
Yeah, no. The answer is very simple. Like California has already shown us that they want to be an immigration sanctuary state. Well, Texas needs to be a Second Amendment sanctuary state. There is no law that shall abridge firearms. Period. End of story. We're a Second Amendment sanctuary. The National Firearms Act, that doesn't apply here. Yeah, we can build silencers. You can have fully automatic rifles. I don't care. Shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. And that's what we should do. If the left wants to have, sanctuary cities for drugs and sex and everything else, fine. We'll have sanctuary states for actual constitutional rights.
Okay. Election fortification.
So I was actually overseas when we did elections, and so I helped when providing security. I saw the people in person walking around with their purple thumbs because they had just voted. You know, it's not impossible to have a strong election system. One vote per legal person. Like this isn't complicated. If we need to institute fingerprint or photo identification, fine. We absolutely must have paper ballots so that we can have a trail for auditing. I'm not in favor of these electronic machines at all. We've seen too many cases where, even if it's just user error, and it's not, but even if it is, you're a businessman. You know this. You have to have a paper trail. You have to have something in front of you that you can sit there and follow, and if you can't audit it, then it doesn't exist. Because I guarantee you, that's what the IRS will tell you.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Government mandates.
No, the answer is no. And I don't care. I don't care what the federal government says. What are they going to do? Invade us? No, the answer is no. You don't get to sit there and restrict my children's rights because you're scared. No mask mandates, no medical apartheid, no sitting there and trying to, stop people from being able to work and put food on the table because they're not in line with the way you think. That's un-American. It's wrong. It's immoral to sit there and try to control people in these ways. And if nothing else, poor people and lower class, lower working class people should understand this better than anyone. You can't trust the government. I mean, heck, a large part of the reason why immigrants move to the United States is because of how freaking awful their government is. America may be better than a lot of other places. It is. Still doesn't mean you should trust the government, though. It's the people that make America great, not the government.
Okay, and then your pro-life stance.
Pro-life is the same way. Murder is illegal. It's already illegal in the state of Texas. We just have to sit there and say that every human life matters. It doesn't matter how big they are. I don't care about Roe v. Wade. I don't care what the federal government says. We have the right to protect Texans. Period. End of story.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Joshua, for coming on the show. We hope to spotlight your efforts on this run. And can you kind of give your pitch to anybody that's listening to the show that actually could vote for you, and anybody that might want to donate towards your efforts, and for sure plug in your website and anywhere they can, help and reach you at.
Yeah, the only way I'm accepting websites is the only method that I'm accepting donations is joshuahamm.com. And the reason for that is because bribery is not illegal in the United States. You just have to jump through the right hoops. And so because I'm an outsider and I don't know all of the different laws that are applicable, I'm trying to make sure that I am incredibly squeaky clean. And so going through the website, it controls and people can see, and there's an easily audible trail of where I've gotten my money from and everything else. The candidate that you've heard the most about is the one that is funded by people who hate you. They hate you. They hate your kids. They hate your way of life. They hate your religion. They hate your culture. And so if you want to start changing that, you change that by beginning to fund their opponents. Every politician in some way is getting bought. Every single one, because you're buying them. And if you're not buying the politician you want, I promise you, the people who hate you are buying the politician they want because it costs money. Like my campaign is over 6 different counties. I don't know if you've seen the price of fuel, but just driving around and talking to people costs money. And so $5 helps. $10 helps, man. If you can give me $100, that is incredibly helpful because it's important. And if it's important for you that you start getting representation that actually represents you, that means that you're not going to have millionaires who are self-funding their own campaigns. That means you're going to have to start funding blue-collar working class people to actually represent you because they don't have the money to do it on their own.
Fair
Thank you
enough.
so much.
All right.
JoshuaHamm.com. 2
Thank.
M's. JoshuaHamm.
Perfect. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on.
All right. Be blessed.